Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look, it's a bird, it's a plane.
It's a podcast.
Race a high-powered bullet to the target. With tremendous weight, bend solid steel in his bare hands, as though it were...
Hello, everybody out there. Chris here, and welcome back to another episode of It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's a Podcast. This episode, I'm going to be doing some teasers for not one, but two podcasts that are going to be coming at you guys in the next week and a half from zone4podcast.com. We're going to be, we as in there is a special guest who I will introduce in a moment. Me and my special guest will be talking about Original Sin issue number 2. The conclusion of Forever Evil, along with a little touch on Justice League issue 30, and Amazing Spider-Man issue number 2. And then, of course, myself and Brant will be closing the show out. Brant is back this week with the weekly rundown where we will go through the books that are coming out of the first week of June. So without further ado, let's get into this week's show. And guys, my special guest for this week is...
Woo!
You keep dreaming, Cindy. Brant!
Hey guys, what's up?
How are you doing, Brant?
I am doing good. How are you?
I'm good. It seems like every show that you're absent from, the following show, you are a full guest for the whole show.
What can I say?
You would think this teaches Brant something by now.
You'd think. I'm apparently not a fast learner.
So, actually, really quickly, Brent, before we get into the books, I did want to talk about a few things really briefly before we start. And these are little tidbits you guys are going to be hearing on Zone 4 this week and Hola Toys next Tuesday. For Hola Toys, really quickly, I wanted to mention, I shared this toy with Brant, but there is a 24-inch Godzilla
Python?
figure.
No, sorry.
Say what?
I said Python?
I wish. Be an interesting toy.
24-inch pythons. Brother! Sorry.
You get a Hulk Hogan figure on that right now. Oh, please, no. Don't, no more Hulk Hogan. That man needs it. Anyway, and the Godzilla figure is humongous. It's 3 feet long. That's including the tail, which, of course, every single brand new Godzilla figure, apparently, you have to assemble the tail in 2 separate parts. So, this is a massive figure. It's basically like the Stormtrooper figures I got from Toys R Us and Target. Of course, half the size because, of course, it's only 2 feet tall. But the figure has a sound box, but there like holes for a sound box. There is no sound box. The tail wags. We didn't see that coming. And the tip of the tail does little things here and there. But other than that, really nothing special. But the price is what really shocked me for this figure. A whopping $75 on Amazon.
It's crazy.
Would you buy this figure, Brant?
Not for no $75. No.
I don't blame you. I would not pay anything more than $30 for that figure. $1 a foot is more. $10 a foot is more than enough, in my opinion. Especially because it has no special features, no lights, no sound, nothing. All it does is stand there and you can wag its tail. That's it. And it's 3 feet. Really 2 feet tall. It's 3 feet long. Yeah. We'll touch more on this in Hall of Toys.
Yep.
That's your Hall of Toys little briefie. Is there something you'd like to add, Brant?
No, I was disagreeing with you.
Now, with Zone 4, which you guys will be hearing actually tomorrow, this is going up on Thursday, Zone 4 goes up on Friday. Myself and Mike will be on Zone 4 this week. One thing I really had to really quickly touch on, which really annoyed the heck out of me. I saw the guys on Frontline talking about this in the morning on Wednesday, and I was scared to come home and see the news. But Huntress
Hmm.
is getting her New 52 remake
Yeah.
because of course the Huntress we got, which reminded us of the pre-New 52 Huntress, isn't the real Huntress. She's from Earth 2, so she can't be Huntress. So yeah, the design sucks, and I can't wait for DC to please someday go back to the way it used to be, because they are just continually screwing up this universe piece by piece. And, you'd think by now DC Comics would learn, but of course it's DC Comics, so what can you do?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, we'll elaborate on Zone 4, but man, that redesign is awful. And, my apologies to the artist that came up with it, but if it was another character, fine, whatever. It's still not that great, but yeah, no.
I would accept it as a new character. I will not accept it as a character that has a legacy in DC Comics probably older than the artist and or creator of the new design.
Probably, yeah.
Enough said. This is what pisses me off with DC Comics. These are snot-nosed kids or young writers who weren't even around when the legacies of DC Comics were being created. These are people that were born 15 to 20 years after DC's legacy began.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what pisses me off. If you weren't born at the exact moment DC Comics started their legacy, you shouldn't have a right to change it, especially as fundamentally as the New 52's been changing it.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, there's not going to be many people left.
Right. So don't
time.
change the legacy.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. First of all, Marvel Comics has been known to change over time. So it's a norm. If you see, like, for example, what they did with Spider-Man or what they've done with X-Men over the years, and X-Men have gone through fundamental changes throughout their existence in Marvel Comics. DC is known, or was known until the New 52, for one thing. They respected their legacy. They looked to change and tweak little things here and there. No lie there. Little tweaks to a costume, little tweaks to a character here and there. Not something as fundamentally, there aren't even words for what the New 52 is. Basically, the New 52 says F you to all the legacy that DC's created up until 2011. And it says, we're going to start over again because we're Dan Didio and Jim Lee, and we didn't fail other companies before and have them shut down. So why the heck not? We're going to take over DC Comics and redo it in our image. No more legacy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get your point there. You can argue that there are new readers that are trying DC for the first time with the New 52, and they like it, and they don't have that whole history to be bogged down in. But I agree with you with people that are longtime fans. It does kind of spit in the face of that tradition and that legacy. So
absolutely. And you know what? New readers from DC Comics, I've talked to a few people who got back into comics or started reading comics thanks to the New 52. You know where they are right now, Brant? You know where most of them went?
Indies?
No, well,
or nowhere.
Some did. I will admit that. Some did move over to some indie books. I know a couple of people jumped into Invincible, Walking Dead when it went on TV. Yeah, but no. There's another company they went to.
Zenoscope?
No.
Okay.
Although they should, but no.
Marvel.
Bingo. You know why?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
The movies.
Oh, well, that's true, yeah.
So people with like the New 52, they're like, oh, comics are cool. And then a Marvel movie comes out and it's like, oh, look, Marvel's like ODing on this character. Let's try him out. Mm-hmm. They did it with Spider-Man. They're doing it with X-Men. They did it with Avengers. They did it with Cap and all the other heroes that have had movies. Marvel has taken every single one of DC Comics' New 52 readers and brought them into their world too. So you know what? Yeah. The New 52 brought new readers in, but the question is, did they stay?
I mean, they're still selling, so it's...
Marvel's in a lot of the top 5 spots, Brant.
Oh, I know. I mean, they do, seesaw back and forth, though. DC will have it for a while, then Marvel will have it for a while. It just depends. There are people that follow creators, there are people that follow characters, and there are people that are faithful to the company, regardless. So it's just, I don't know.
Well, I know DC is going to take September because of 5 years later. So that's already a given. I'm sure Marvel's even going into it saying, okay, we'll give DC September.
I don't know, because Marvel has a Spider-Verse going on at that time.
Oh, maybe Dan Slott's going to try to go against Dan Didio, which is the fight of the Dans. So I'm all for that, but I just feel like DC lately, it's like, okay, let's just reinvent this, or let's completely screw this. I feel like every time we turn around, there's a new redesign, and it's like you could swear that they're doing it just to piss off the old readers. I could swear it almost. I'm not a Huntress fan. I have nothing to do with Huntress. I read the miniseries that came out in the New 52, and I read a couple of the World's Finest books. I'm not a Huntress fan by any means, and I'm mad at the redesign.
Yeah, I mean, I can see your point there. I mean, it does feel like they're just constantly changing stuff and constantly throwing monkey wrenches in this or that, especially since they started the events back up again. So,
yeah.
Which, we'll talk to. We're going to talk to the events right now. We're going to talk about the events.
Absolutely, but I don't know. That's just my opinion on Huntress. If you want to hear more, we are going to have a full-on discussion about that tomorrow, which actually, ironically, it is tomorrow for me and Brad, because we're going to be discussing it tomorrow, which is Thursday, but you guys are listening to this today, which is Thursday, so tomorrow for you guys, which will be Friday, is going to be on Zone 4.
That was so confusing. Bottom line is, go listen to Zone 4 after you listen to this one.
Right.
There you go.
Or if you're listening to this on Thursday, tomorrow, Zone 4.
There you go.
Nominated for 200 awards.
I'll take it.
There you go. So, one other thing I would like to make a little bit of it was announced today, which is Wednesday, and I'm super excited. I know Michael's super excited, and Brant actually brought up the company, which is why I wanted to bring this up. Yeah. Zenescope has announced that Robin Hood is now going to be an ongoing series.
Yes.
It is now in the previews, which it's spectacular. I cannot wait, and we will absolutely be buying every issue.
I'm thrilled that we're able to talk about this now, because you know as well as I do that we actually knew about this for a while when we talked to Pat Shan on the live show that we did, but we couldn't say anything. Obviously they didn't want the news broken at that time, so we had to sit on that news, and it was hard because we're all big Robin Hood fans, and so when we were able to announce this, and actually Comic Frontline got the scoop, and Pat Shan even, I don't know if you saw that, but Pat Shan posted that we were the first ones to pick up on the news. So it was really cool just having that news and being on top of it and everything. And, congrats for Pat for getting this ongoing series.
Absolutely. Now we got to work on Godstorm. So, all right, so that's basically all the news. So now, this is going to be a short show. As always, guys, it's a podcast that's going to range from anywhere from an hour, including the Zone 4 segment, to about 90 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer. It really depends on how much news comes out, which there was hardly any, and what books I'd like to discuss, or what topics, or what have you. This is my birthday week. As a matter of fact, the night we're recording this, which it is now 1 in the morning, and ironically, the day we're recording Zone 4, it is my birthday.
As Frosty would say, happy birthday.
Thank you, and happy new year. But anyway, so pardon me for having this is going to be a bit of a short week. We did talk about this on the Comic Frontline live show, but there are points I would like to expand on, and put a little bit of a spotlight on and discuss a little bit. And I know, Brant, you enjoyed. I think we should start with Marvel and then ease our way into DC.
Okay.
Because believe me, I need a couple of shots of this soda before I can get into DC. So, Original Sin issue number 2. Personally, I enjoyed it. I like the feeling of a murder mystery. I like it. I've been a huge fan of those types of genre books and TV shows and movies. So for me, this is something I'm really enjoying. And the fact that Nick Fury is spotlight in it also just sweetens the deal. And I don't know, how are you feeling about Original Sin so far?
Oh, so far I'm really enjoying it as well. For all the reasons you mentioned, I love murder mystery kind of stories anyway. Always have. It's just that kind of, I don't know. It's that not knowing and having to follow the clues and figure everything out. And that's the way they've written the story. They're not giving it away. At least, not yet. They give little portions, little tidbits away, so you can pick up these, crumbs and kind of follow it to the eventual conclusion. And I love that kind of story, and they're doing it really well so far. And the Nick Fury stuff, I agree. It's really cool to see him in there and play with all this old stuff, especially when we have. I know you haven't watched it yet, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They brought in the flying car that Coulson has, and that's a classic Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury kind of thing, and he brings it back into the comics with that, and it's cool to see that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Did you notice, though, I did notice something after reading issue 2, and I was thinking about it. Did you notice that Nick Fury Jr. and S.H.I.E.L.D. are basically not even really involved in Original Sin?
Yeah, it seems that way.
It's kind of ironic and funny at the same time, because it's like, you'd expect father-son moments to happen,
and
it's just not. So I guess two Nick Furies can't be in the same book.
Well, I mean, I know continuity in Marvel is not quite as cohesive as DC's, whereas something could be happening in one book and something completely different be happening in another book with the same character, and you don't know where it all fits in. But what I'm thinking is that S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of doing that thing with the X-Men right now.
Yep.
So maybe that's why they're not really involved in this part, which works. So I'm fine with that.
Another funny thing in this book, Hulk apparently is completely fine. If you're reading Hulk the series, Bruce Banner is going through some brain problems right now, but it seems that in Original Sin issue 2, everything's A-okay.
That's Marvel continuity for you.
There is no continuity. Ever since
point.
Age of Ultron, it's done.
It's always been kind of like that, though, with Marvel.
Can I say one thing about this cover? I have the variant cover, the one that connects. I'm getting tired of seeing Iceman in shorts. Take the shorts off, man. Seriously? It's like Iceman, and then there's some brown khaki shorts. Why?
I don't know. How would they not, freeze or something?
Exactly. I mean, the rest of his clothes freeze.
Yeah. I don't know.
I thought this book was really good. You have the team that's being led by Mr. X or Miss X. We don't know who yet. You have Black Panther and Emma Frost finding a monster graveyard in the center of the earth. You have the Avengers and Nick Fury chasing after another mindless one, as you mentioned in the Nick Fury scenes with the flying car and the jetpacks. Mm-hmm. You have Punisher and Doctor Strange finding another clue in the realms far beyond man, wherever the heck that is. And then basically you get a beautiful splash page where the Avengers find out, along with the X-Men and every other person in the tri-state area and beyond, they basically find where the mindless ones are. And then we get, apparently we're getting reintroduced to these characters, but I've never seen them before, and I've been reading comics now from Marvel for about 4 years. But we get reintroduced to the Exterminatrix, who basically the Avengers beat in less than 2 pages, which I found hilarious. And then we get some weird doppelganger Ben Grimm And our hooded person is revealed to be the Orb.
Which, I looked this up. His first appearance was 1973.
Wow, he's that old of a character and he's
Yep.
still a C-lister?
Mm-hmm. That's why nobody expected him to be in it. Nobody remembers him.
Yeah, because I definitely didn't expect it. But basically, the Orb didn't kill the Watcher, but he stole one of his eyes.
Yep.
Because he wants to trigger it. Now, what does the eye do? What will it do? We'll find out in the next issue. And I was told by somebody that Avengers 29 actually takes place after Original Sin issue 3. So whatever the effects of the eyeball are, that's what's causing people to realize or come face to face with their original sin. Which is very interesting.
Yeah. And that's when it's going to start spilling into the other books, the tie-in issues and everything.
So what did you think of the issue, Brandon? I left out a bunch of stuff that happened. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Not specifically. I mean, again, I really enjoyed the issue. So far, this entire Original Sin story I've really liked. I love that they are surprising us and throwing stuff like the Orb at us, because it's totally unexpected, and that's what I want from a story like this. I don't want to know, the end game. I don't want to know all the players. I want everything to be revealed piece by piece. And so far they're doing that. I think Punisher and Doctor Strange teaming up is really weird, though. And that, for me, was like the poorest part of the issue.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And it's just weird to take Punisher into this realm and, conveniently, he finds a bullet. I mean, it's like, okay. It seemed out of place to me. But, that aside, I think they're doing a solid job with this.
Absolutely. And I'm excited for the next issue. Are you going to be reading any of the, like the miniseries Original Sins or stuff like that connected to Original Sin?
I probably will, because it looks interesting and I like the creative teams on it.
Okay.
So.
Did you read Avengers 29? Or do you have it in a read pile?
I did not. I haven't read Avengers since like issue 5 or 6 or something. Did you read it?
Yes. And if you'd like me to tell you about it, I could tell you about it. It's really, really good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this apparently takes place after Original Sin 3, and Captain America is sleeping. And basically, in his dreams, he remembers... Now, you read New Avengers.
Yeah.
He remembers that whole situation, getting the Infinity Gauntlet, it failing, and then basically the Illuminati, he says, we have to stop this, we can't do this, we do it, we'll never go back. And then he remembers Doctor Strange erasing his memory.
Oh, wow.
And then he wakes up from the dream, and he's remembering that last moment. And let's just say Steve Rogers is pissed. So he puts a team of people together, Thor, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and with Thor comes Hyperion and Starbrand.
Wow.
Because Thor is kind of worried because where Steve Rogers is going, it's kind of a dangerous turf.
Mm-hmm.
Even he says, brothers fight, sometimes things can get out of hand.
Right.
And he's like, you're not going in with a clear head, and he says, no, I'm not. They bust in. There's a huge scene between him and Captain America and Iron Man where he's like, I remember. He even called Tony Stark a bit of a traitor, and Tony Stark's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, listen, bud, I remember. And Tony Stark's like, can we talk about this? And Steve's like, yeah, we can talk. And then he tells everybody everything that went on in New Avengers that's in the room, and all the Avengers all of a sudden are just circling around Tony Stark.
Wow.
And next thing you know, he's like, you do realize you're in my laboratory, in my house. And all the armors come to life. And the scene that stuck out the most and returned my hatred for Iron Man was where Captain America said, you used me. And Tony said, yes, I guess I did. And I would do it again. What are you going to do about it?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And that's what triggers the fight between Iron Man and Cap and the rest of the Avengers and Iron Man's like what do you call it? His soldier, like his machines. And then it turns out, remember how the time gem didn't shatter, it disappeared?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently it comes back
Oh, wow.
at that very moment to Steve Rogers' hand because he's the one that was holding the time gem.
Right.
And it sends them 48 years into the future.
Okay.
To be continued right there.
Okay. I was wondering how that, I mean, because I'd read solicitations that they had that time travel story, but I didn't know how it came into play. That makes sense now. I might have to go pick up this issue.
The only downside to this issue that kind of deterred me from buying it the week it came out, and it took me a week to change my mind. The issue's $4.99.
Oh, yeah. Is it extra sized?
Yeah, I think it is considered extra size. I didn't even really notice. I thought it looks like an average size issue to me, but maybe it is a couple of pages more. But the story itself was worth it. Having the whole Cap versus Iron Man reminded me of Civil War, but this time it's not like something that's going to impact the entire Marvel U because Original Sin is what's doing that.
Right.
So it's like, this is kind of like a bonus.
It's interesting, yeah.
I can't wait. You know that things aren't going to be the same with the Avengers after this.
Oh yeah, of course. Who do you think right now, if you had to guess, who do you think killed the Watcher?
You know, that's a good question, and to be honest with you, if it wasn't Beast, it's hard. I mean, it could be anyone. It could be somebody that we haven't seen in years. I mean, if they're willing to pull out Z-list characters like the Orb, who we haven't seen since 1970 whatever, or I'm sure he popped in and out of books since 1970 whatever, but if they're going to pull characters that we haven't seen in a long time and throw them out in the spotlight, I mean, it could be anybody. I mean, shoot, we could have, what superhero haven't we seen in a long time or who's gone into retirement? It could be Ant-Man.
The Sentry come back to life.
Oh, the Sentry? Absolutely. Why not the Sentry? I mean, he was part of the Uncanny Avengers. I mean, he was brought back. Dawkins was brought back.
Yeah.
I don't know if they stayed back, but I couldn't read Uncanny Avengers after a while anymore. Yeah. It was too painful.
I know. Me too. I don't know. I mean, Beast is a good theory, especially with that conversation he had with the Watcher. But I think that might be too obvious.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know, but I in a way I hope it is Beast because we're already seeing Beast kind of starting to take his little steps towards the dark side. And I guess since Cyclops already went to his, dark side little thing, I think it's time for him to come back to the light side. Even though we all don't really want him to be with Emma Frost, which I'm glad at least they're not even dating right now. I have a feeling that Beast is going to be the next X-Men to kind of take the darker turn for a bit.
That's possible. And I actually like him with Emma Frost, I'm just saying.
I honestly, Jean is dead.
Yeah.
And you definitely can't have him dating teenage Jean Grey.
No.
So I guess it's good to see him, with somebody, but Emma Frost needs to be less of a bitch then.
But that's her character. That's who she is.
Oh, then I guess you can't date Cyclops. But that's where I would definitely say, though, going back to Avengers, definitely read it. I'll be honest. This week I dropped 2 books. I dropped Amazing X-Men because, first of all, I don't like the next story. I don't like what it looks like. I'm not wasting $5 on the annual that's coming out next week. We'll talk about that in the rundown. And just Amazing X-Men was created, I feel, for one purpose, which was to bring back Nightcrawler. They did it, and now, just like Astonishing X-Men, it's just another X-Men book. Plain and simple.
I don't know. I haven't read the latest issue yet, but I've enjoyed all of it so far. So.
You read the Nightcrawler. You're in the middle of the Nightcrawler story right now, right?
No, I finished that. It's what issue came out? 7? Is that the one that came out?
I think issue 7. It's Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely haven't read that issue yet, but
Yeah, it's when you get to it, we'll talk.
Okay.
And the other book I dropped was Wolverine and the X-Men. The new volume just isn't working. Volume 1 was amazing for Wolverine and the X-Men. It worked. It had flow. It was enjoyable. There was, one or two story arcs that we all hated, one of them being a circus.
Yep.
It just feels like the circus is like the main focus of this entire new volume, even though it's not the circus, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This book, it just doesn't look like it's going to go far this time. Not this volume.
I actually liked the first 2 issues. I thought they were solid, and
Me too.
they were interesting. But the last 2 issues, I totally agree. I was so confused and so lost with that, and it was just such a mess, such a chaotic mess that I totally agree with the dropping right now. Hopefully it gets better at some point, but
if it does, I'll pick it up again, absolutely. But this is not a book that I'm going to dedicate $3.99 to twice a month and just be disgusted with it.
Yeah.
Now, with the dropping of 2 X-Men books, I guess Avengers is a fair choice to re-pick up. Maybe I'll try New Avengers after Original Sin.
Yeah. Now, are you going to be getting any of the tie-ins that you're not normally picking up the books for?
Thor,
Okay.
because I want to see where Angela, the Angela story is going, and I'm not getting Original Sins because whenever there's a miniseries attached to an event miniseries, that's the miniseries that tanks the worst.
Generally, that's true. I agree with you.
So I'm gonna play it safe, and if it's good, I could always trade paperback it.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm gonna be focusing mostly on. I might get the miniseries with Iron Man versus Hulk.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm probably not gonna. I'm not going out of my way for Mighty Avengers. Michael is going to read Daredevil, Deadpool, and then after the Original Sin tie-in, he's dropping Deadpool anyway. So
Gotcha. I'm going to read the Mighty Avengers one.
perfect. So there you go. We'll have all the books, discussable on the shows, the live shows.
Yep.
I can't wait for Amazing Spider-Man's, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, that's a good segue into Amazing Spider-Man #2, because the prequel actually is of Silk. And it turns out she has a bunch of videos that involve Spider-Man versing all of his amazing foes.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently Silk knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker.
Yeah, which kind of makes sense, I guess.
Oh, of course. But I kind of find her living arrangements kind of weird. No windows, and looks like she has like some old-fashioned stuff in there.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think that she's being kept by somebody.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, me too. So it's going to be interesting to see when she comes to light.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to go on. So do you want to actually take this book, Brant? Because I know Spider-Man's your favorite character, and I'm sure there are a lot of good scenes here you wanted to make mention of.
I love this issue. I thought it was a, pardon the pun, amazing issue.
Yeah, I could agree.
But I mean, just, I'm not going to go page for page and all that kind of stuff, but some of the things that I really liked in this issue was, first of all, you had Anna Marie and Peter having their confrontation, and him revealing, just coming right out and saying, hey, I was kind of taken over by Dr. Octopus, so you kind of dated that guy. and she's like, okay, I gotta bake, I gotta put these cookies in the oven, I gotta take them off, take them out in 22 minutes. And she just, it was funny. I'm like totally condensing it, but it was really funny and really, I don't know, it was what it needed to be, I think, for that scene. And it didn't leave anything hanging, It wasn't like, oh, we gotta wait till next issue to see if she discovers that he's not the same guy and stuff. They just kind of threw it out there, which I appreciated. And, then later on, because we had joked about this, later on in the lab, she tells the, what's her name, the girl, his partner, I can't think of her name. Sanji? Yeah. Sajani, something like that.
Sajani, yeah, thank you.
She tells her that Anna Marie is pregnant, and Peter's like, "What?" She's
I
like,
was like, what? 'Cause
I know.
I was reading it panel for panel. I was shocked. I'm sitting there, oh my
Yep.
God. And then thank God the next box, it kind of just says, oh, I was just kidding, Slick. Don't worry.
Yeah, yeah. I was just saying that to get her out of the room. But I was right there with you, but it hit me as she said, I'm pregnant. I was like, we joked about this. Are you serious? Because remember when we did the whole Mary joke? We were
Yep.
like, that's the next step. She's going to be pregnant. But no, it was just all a joke and everything. And they worked their things out. And, you know, still, it's still kind of iffy because she has nowhere else to live. She gave up her apartment and all this stuff. So you still got all that drama to deal with. And later on, you have a confrontation with Spider-Man and the Avengers. And, you know, they're still not convinced. They're doing tests and everything. And he discovers for the first time that Flash Thompson is Venom.
Yeah, that was my favorite scene.
Yeah.
Finally, Spider-Man realizing it after 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's like, Cap, you knew? And he just decks him. And they're like, he's still Dr. Octopus. they're going crazy. He's like, no, you lied to me. It was classic Spider-Man right there. It was just like that indignation. Forget all the big stuff going on. You lied to me. That's what I'm going to focus on. And it's just, I don't know. And then you had this battle with Electro, which, you know, that was a little forced to me because of the movie. But, you know, it was still fine. It was a good battle, good art throughout that battle, too. So.
And you have Black Cat watching, and bad luck ensues for Spidey.
Yeah. So that's coming. We know that's going to be in a future issue anyway. And I think it was cool that what's his face gave him the
Human Torch.
Yeah, the Human. I don't know why I blanked on his name. That gave him the flash drive with all like the season of what was it, Big Brother or something, or Smash Smash. Yeah.
Basically everything he missed, all the music he missed. It was a huge recap of the whole year he was out.
Yeah, the TVs, movies, music, and everything. And he was like, Smash is probably on season 3, which, you know, that show's canceled. So, funny stuff. This was a classic Spider-Man issue.
I did like the connection to Fantastic Four a little bit, where they have Johnny, you know, saying, yeah, I don't have powers anymore. Yeah. So it's nice to show that at least Fantastic Four and Spider-Man are kind of connected continuity-wise.
Right, and that makes sense because he's always had strong ties to the Fantastic Four anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, I thought it was a fantastic issue, though. Again, no pun intended.
I think this issue was amazing. My only minor concern is this. They're taking everything that Doc Ock screwed up, and they're throwing it right at Spider-Man right in the first story arc. Black Cat, Electro, the Island, Anne-Marie, Mary Jane again is missing from the whole story.
Yeah.
And they're just like taking all the aspects, all those important things that have happened, and right away they're explaining everything off. They're going to have Spider-Man fix everything in the first story arc or everything in the first 20-ish issues, and then they're going to move on like nothing ever happened. Because basically the world is now going to forget the whole Doc Ock Spidey thing because, as Human Torch mentioned, the Avengers are basically spreading the word around that, hey, it wasn't Spider-Man for that 1 year. It was Doc Ock.
Yeah, but, I mean, you kind of have to do something like that because it'd be a nightmare if we had 20 issues of Spider-Man trying to prove to everybody that he's not that guy, you know?
Oh, absolutely. But I feel like, for example, with Black Cat, that's a good future story. Don't throw her in every issue right now. Take your time, let it, throw her in every once in a while to give little teases, but don't basically set up 3 issues from now the big Black Cat Spider-Man thing. Electro, obviously for the movies, they're going to throw that in now. So that's kind of like you said, kind of like a force kind of thing.
Yeah.
But why did they have to go straight for the Island? Why did Pete say, hey, you know what? Forget this stuff that's going to make my company money, the whole nanobot delivery technology BS, the thing that's keeping Anna Marie working and, giving her a job. I'm going to go back to that island that Spider-Man screwed up or Doc screwed up, and I'm going to make it into a supervillain prison, which is not going to make Parker Industries any money, and basically it's going to probably drive my business to ruin.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting though. I mean, there always has to be like a raft or what's the one, the vault? I think it was the one before that. And,
Yeah, but it was the raft before Spider Island, before Doc Ock took it over and
right.
made Spider Island.
Yeah, and before that there was the vault.
Right.
So I don't know. I'll have to see how that all plays out.
I just don't want to see Pete ruin his, company so quickly. I would like to see kind of a gradual, let it take a while before he screws up.
I was really kind of hoping. The one thing I'm kind of worried about is I was really kind of hoping that he would look at, like when he was inside Doc Ock's head, or inside his own head with Doc Ock, where he was seeing, oh, Doc did this. That's kind of smart. Why didn't I think of that? I was kind of hoping he would look at all this stuff that Doc Ock did while he was Spidey and kind of take advantage of that and kind of expand a little bit. Maybe not have spider bots running all over the city, but just some of the stuff that he did, and be like, oh, I could do this better, I could do this more efficient, and all that kind of
Right,
stuff.
like what he was saying in the beginning of the Superior Spider-Man series.
Right.
One thing I didn't like, or that kind of was like a plot hole, was the fact that he's like, oh, Doc Ock made new web fluid, but you remember so much about Doc Ock. How could you not remember that there's a solvent for your web fluid?
Yeah.
But Anne-Marie remembered, and is like, are you stupid? I mean, you were there. You were in the brain. You're claiming you remember moments with Doc Ock, and I love the little cell phone pun they threw in every now and again with dum, 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 dum. I died. Every time his phone rang, I died laughing.
Yeah, it was good stuff. This was very well written this year.
I love it. Dan Slott, like I said, he was a genius. He made us all hate him for Superior Spider-Man. And I feel like, minus the whole forced Electro thing, he's really delivering a really, really good, amazing Spider-Man.
I agree. And I'm eating crow from all those previous issues of Amazing that I hated because
sometimes people change, their style changes. Sometimes they got to do something crazy and then come back and say, you know what? Now I see what I did wrong before, and I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah. Hopefully it stays this way.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But I'll tell you, Spider-Verse looks really awesome.
Yeah.
Silk looks really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Black Cat's going to play out yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to what Amazing Spider-Man is going to have.
Yeah, for the first time in a long time, I am very excited about Amazing Spider-Man, that title. It's just, it's been a long, long time since I've honestly been able to say that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just glad that there's that breath of fresh air, that life brought back into the comic book. And it, looking back now, it made sense. Superior Spider-Man was created for a year and a half to make us realize how important Amazing Spider-Man was, and it gave us that time away from Amazing Spider-Man. So now that Amazing Spider-Man's back, we're like, hey, welcome back.
Yep.
I truly missed you, and now I respect and I understand why you're so important.
Exactly. I agree.
Newfound respect. So, Pete's back, Spidey's back. I'm loving it. I wish the issues would come out faster, but my pockets don't. So, twice a month is good enough for me.
Yeah.
So that's Marvel. That's all the delightful stuff. Now we're going into DC Comics, where we're going to touch on Forever Evil issue number 7 of 7, the grand finale of Forever Evil. And this couldn't have felt like a more rushed issue if you threw in pancakes.
Okay.
I don't know. I have no analogy for it. But you read the issue, and I have no idea why I threw that pancake analogy in there. I don't even care. I'm just going to roll with it. But from the moment you start reading this book, you could see that it is a rushed book. And another thing, they were saying you don't have to read the tie-ins. Well, guess what? If you didn't read Justice League, you won't understand what happened to Grid. If you didn't read Justice League of America, which also is connected to Argus, which is also connected in a way, ironically, to Justice League, you won't understand the whole Steve Trevor and how a cyborg ended up with Wonder Woman's lasso and about the prison in Firestorm, because that's all explained in all of those books.
Yeah.
So in a way, you did have to buy everything in order to 100% understand Forever Evil. So that took away from me a little bit. I mean, I know I read everything, but other than Blight, you needed to really read everything if you wanted the full story.
Yeah, it was kind of like Infinity, where you had to read Avengers and New Avengers to get that. You could pick up pieces of what was going on in the JLA books, but to get the full story, yeah, you definitely had to read Justice League and Justice League of America at least.
Right. And the book was basically Batman and Cyborg saved the Justice League. Lex Luthor and his group of evil superheroes now, apparently, versus Alexander Luthor, who is the reverse Shazam, because I can't say Shazam's name backwards. And there you go. Take what Brant said. And basically, reverse Shazam, because I'm not saying that word, kills... He has the same powers as Jonathan Kent, Superboy. He kills somebody from the Justice League or the Crime Syndicate. He absorbs their powers and gets their power. He keeps their powers. So he killed Johnny Quick. He got his speed. He killed the Reverse Shazam. Before that, he became the new Reverse Shazam. He killed Deathstorm in this issue. He got his powers too. So I don't like that kind of a character. I feel like it's like, oh great, so we have basically the Parasite, only he keeps the powers forever. And pre-New 52, Alexander Luthor was the only good guy willing to fight against the Crime Syndicate on Earth 3. Now with the New 52, Alexander Luthor is as sick and twisted as the Crime Syndicate themselves. And, huge spoiler here, but I kind of called this a mile away. Superwoman's baby is not Ultraman's, it's not Owlman's, although she let both of them believe it was theirs. It's Alexander Luthor's.
See, I didn't see that coming.
Oh, I saw that coming a mile away. I didn't know who was in the hood, but I knew whoever it was the father of Superwoman's baby. So, in the end, we had a lot of death on the Crime Syndicate side. Ultraman is a prisoner and completely powerless. Superwoman is a prisoner and she's going to have the baby very soon. Owlman is somewhere out there, hidden, because he's basically the dark version of Batman. And Dick Grayson lived. Bizarro died. Dick Grayson's going on a special mission like Winter Soldier. And Lex Luthor's going to create a new Bizarro.
Yep.
So, and now all of a sudden Lex Luthor wants to be good because whatever threat destroyed Earth 3 is going to come to their Earth, and he wants to be prepared to stop it. And what is it? The one thing Dan Didio swore we wouldn't see again.
Well, he didn't say that.
No, he didn't say we wouldn't see this character again. He said, and I quote, "There will be no more crises."
Crises.
Whatever. And guess who shows up at the end of Forever Evil? Which is going to lead into the next big event next March. The Anti-Monitor. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that don't know who the Anti-Monitor is, every time there's a crisis, he's there. Every time the DC Universe wants to reboot or change fundamentally, except for Zero Hour, he's there.
Yeah, and in Didio's defense, he said that they would never name an event that. He never said they would not have a crisis. It just wouldn't be called a crisis.
Oh, I knew that they would again.
Yeah, we all did. Yeah.
And as Jay said, the whole appearance of the Anti-Monitor basically solidifies the fact that maybe there's a glimmering, shining star of hope out there that's saying, hey, this is only temporary. You might get maybe not your old universe back, but a fundamentally close to your old universe back in the near future.
I still doubt that's going to happen. I don't know. Obviously they're going to change something fundamentally, like you said. Anti-Monitor showing up, these weekly series, everything culminating with this, interdimensional war with Batman Beyond coming and all this stuff. Something's happening. We know
They
that.
did tease there's a war.
Yeah.
They said right after the whole World's End thing where Earth 2 people move over to Earth 1, there's a war that follows that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, obviously all that stuff's going to happen. But I'm not sure if they're going to fold back in some of the pre-New 52 stuff yet or not. I mean, it's so soon. I can't see it. They're making too much money doing it this way. I don't know.
I agree with you. I think they're going to wait 20 years like they always do because I did do the math. It's every 20 years they do a reboot. I was born in 86. That was the first reboot. And guess what? 2011 is 20 years later, almost.
Something like that, yeah.
So it's close enough. I mean, it's not exactly 20 years, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
That amount of years have, amount of years have passed.
When you consider when they started the crises back up with Identity Crisis and Infinite Crisis and all that stuff, it was around 20 years. Yeah, you're right. So, I don't know. I think once Didio leaves, if that ever happens...
Oh, God, please.
something might happen. I don't know.
And we need to get the guy over in Marvel to leave too.
Alonso?
Dan something.
Axel Alonso's the editor-in-chief right now.
Who else is there? Because somebody said they don't want to see Spider-Man married.
Oh, Joe Quesada.
Get rid of him.
He's the chief creative officer or something like that.
Good, get rid of him so we can get Spider-Man and Mary Jane back together, please.
But as far as the Anti-Monitor showing up, though, what I do like is that it wasn't what I kind of expected, what we all kind of expected, which was Darkseid. I think we all thought, hey, it's going to be Darkseid showing up and everything. You didn't think that? I thought that.
I was expecting some type of a dragon. Don't ask me why.
Okay.
I don't know why, but when I saw that red stuff in the sky, I'm like, oh, maybe it could be some type of a monstrous dragon or whatever. I wasn't even thinking characters.
Oh, I was thinking Omega Beams, Apocalypse tearing through the reality, something like that. I was thinking Darkseid.
I was thinking because of Earth 2, or that wouldn't happen.
But they referenced Darkseid. Anti-Monitor wants Darkseid, which I thought was very interesting. So it was a nice little twist. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about it being Anti-Monitor, but I do like the fact that it was not Darkseid. That's all.
I do too. I think that you can't always fall back on Darkseid. You need some other characters, and the fact that they are planning something. Maybe not a relaunch, maybe not going backwards, but they're planning something big to throw the Anti-Monitor into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have a feeling that at some point, they mentioned Vibe is missing, they mentioned Element Woman's missing, and in Justice League of America, they actually show Vibe running, so he's still out there somewhere running, and when they mention Element Woman, they show like a star in the sky sort of thing. So they're still out there somewhere. I don't know where Vibe is, but they're there. They're just gone.
Yeah.
For how long, I don't know either. But the one thing that I kind of found, like, not shocking, but, like, I would love to see how DC's going to write themselves out of this one. I mean, they wrote themselves out of Lex Luthor knowing Clark Kent was Superman when Lex Luthor was president. Yeah, I remember when he was president, Superman showed up at the White House one day and he's like, "Hi, Clark." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm the president. I know all your guys' secret identities." And it's like, so basically any president that becomes president in the DC universe basically gets the keys to knowing every single superhero and their secret identity. Wow. I want to be the president.
That'd be nice.
But they wrote that off really quickly. But after Forever Evil, now Lex Luthor knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And your thoughts on that?
I think there's a way that he could. I mean, Batman's very intelligent. I think he could turn that around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, obviously now this is referencing Justice League 30. Obviously, Lex Luthor will join the Justice League because when the book starts, it's 4 days in the future, and then it goes backwards in time where Lex Luthor remakes the Justice League satellite. He tries to join the team. He brings Shazam. Captain Cold gets, kind of nudged to join the team. And basically the Justice League says no, and they're trying to find, little connections to pin Lex Luthor to the society, the
Secret Society, yeah.
the Secret Society of Supervillains.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't. And
Right.
Lex Luthor actually wants to go after them. So when they can't find a connection, basically they just say, we don't need your help, and get lost.
Yeah.
Or Superman says it. He gets lost, but at the end of the issue, we have Lex Luthor at Wayne Matter's door asking Alfred where Batman is.
Yeah.
To tell Batman that he's here to see him. So, I find it interesting. I like that Shazam is joining Justice League. Captain Cold is going to be an interesting addition also. But hopefully we won't have Superman quitting because of Lex Luthor.
Yeah, no. I don't know. It's interesting, though. It's something different than they've ever done before, and I like that.
I do too. I like Lex Luthor as a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see it last forever.
No.
But I like the twist because we've never really seen this side, this take on the character, and I appreciate that they're giving us something new and something different that's not totally thrown in the face of the tradition of the character, but because the way they built the whole Forever Evil thing. Looking back on it, we can see that a lot of it was for Lex Luthor.
Yeah, the whole series basically spotlighted Lex Luthor because the Justice League of America and the Justice League and Justice League, some of the Justice League Dark were basically captured after before issue 1, at the end of Trinity War.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting though. I like it, and I kind of like the fact that he may know that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Because it just I mean, he's supposed to be one of the smartest people in the world.
Right.
So it would only make sense for somebody like him to figure that out,
Yeah, to put the dots together from Dick Grayson to Bruce.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Forever Evil left a lot to be desired. The last issue was rushed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we didn't get the ending we deserved with the miniseries. It was like, okay, well, here's an ending. Look forward to the next event where we'll continue.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, and it's weird to say that it's rushed because it was actually 2 months late.
And it still felt like it was. And they added new pages, which, believe me, I could almost count on my fingers the additional pages. I like Ted Kord's pages, I will say that.
I love Ted Kord appearing in the New 52. Obviously he's not as Blue Beetle yet, but it's very cool to see him in there. But yeah, it definitely felt like they took a beat to say, okay, we need to rewrite this way, or we need to fix this or add this or something. Something.
I think they rewrote the whole Dick scene because one of the scenes looks like Batman walking down steps alone, but they somehow managed to draw Dick Grayson over his shoulder.
Yeah, it's possible that they had planned originally to kill him and leave him dead. So, I don't know. Only Jeff Johns knows, I guess.
Yeah. So that was Forever Evil. I think that Original Sin is going strong. Forever Evil is, it went well. What would you say all in all?
All in all, for Original Sin or Forever Evil?
Forever Evil first.
All in all,
because it's over
yeah.
now. So all the connections and everything.
I think overall, if you disregard our complaints about the last issue, which is kind of hard to do since it's the finale, I think overall it was solid. If you started back when with Trinity War and all that, leading up to Forever Evil and everything, the way everything came together and played out, I think it was a really well told story as a whole. But it kind of reminded me of Marvel endings where it kind of fell off at the end, just a little bit. So,
yeah.
What do you think?
I think that it kind of, it's hard to even say really. I didn't like that tie-ins that we didn't have to read. You know, when they announced them, they said, "Oh, you don't have to read them; it's just extra." Became necessity. I was very disappointed with the way they ended it, but the rest of the series was very strong. Mm-hmm. So all in all, I would say 3.5 to 4 stars out of 5.
I would give it a 4. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would give it a 4 too. And it sets up for the next event, which we won't see for about a year because we're in May of 2014. The next event isn't going to start until March of 2015 after all the weekly series end. And 5 years later ends. So, obviously, I'm guessing the next event will be this war that Future's End is hinting towards all the time.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But seeing the Anti-Monitor gives me that, whether it be false hope or real hope, it gives me that hope that something's going to change soon.
Gotcha.
Now, really quickly before I switch over to the Zone 4 segment, we are not talking about the weekly series this week that came out of DC because Batman Eternal, it feels like it's in a down point right now with Professor Pig and all this other side stuff going on. Mm-hmm. And we just got back to Batman and all of a sudden Jim Gordon's been gone for a whole month. So I feel like it's right now at a down point. Future's End is about to start its down point because now it feels like everything's kind of like the ramifications of what happened in the first issue.
Yeah.
So we're still dealing with the ramifications of issue 1, and then we'll move forward, I guess, after that. So that's kind of why we didn't talk about the weeklies.
I feel, just real quick, I feel like 52 was the only weekly series, and it was the first. Yep. But it was the only one that did it right, in my personal opinion. I know not everybody agrees that it was as good as I feel it was, but I think it's the only one that stayed on point, stayed interesting from start to finish. I
agree.
Yeah, I think every single one we've gotten from the Countdown to Trinity to all that stuff, just they couldn't keep that, I don't know, that interest going. And it seems like Batman Eternal and Future's End are kind of like that too. They're kind of waning a little bit, and that worries me. So.
With Batman, I'm surprised because it's literally only focused on Batman and the Bat family.
Yeah.
Future's End I could understand more because it's literally the entire DC universe again.
Right.
But again, 52 is amazing. Countdown, bad. Trinity, oh my God, we're not even going to get into that 52 issue debauchery of craziness, but the good news is the only book or the only weekly series that's going to hit 52 issues is Batman Eternal.
Right.
Future's End is going to end in the 40s, and World's End is going to end in like the 20s.
Yeah.
So,
no.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see in March when all the weeklies end how we're feeling about the series, because I'm going to keep going till the end. I mean, I'm not going to start something and then just cut off halfway through unless it gets really bad. It gets really bad, I'll drop it. But
yeah.
I think Future's End I'll keep at least until September, so this way I can get into that 5 years later stuff.
Right. Now, did you want to talk about Invincible at all, or no?
Yes.
Right.
Actually, I did not mention that at the beginning of the show. You're right. Thank you, Brant. I forget. I don't have the physical copy yet. I have the digital copy. Invincible issue number 111. You and me are, I believe, the only ones. We were talking about this before we started recording, but you and me, Brent, I believe, are the only two in the Zone 4 casts that actually read Invincible.
I believe so. Yeah.
If we're wrong,
yeah,
correct us.
Correct us. Yes. Anybody else on Zone 4? I know John doesn't. I know Ron doesn't. I don't know about the rest of them for sure, but I'm pretty sure. So.
And issue 110 had a humongous ending. Like it has gone off, and the second printings are already up for press. Up to come out because it was that impactful, that shocking of an ending. Now, this past week we got issue 111. So Robot is now bored being a good guy, so he wants to eliminate Mark and rule the world like the way he used to.
Yep.
And this issue, oh my God, the things that happened to certain characters in this issue, from Cecil to Adam Eve to just in general, it's crazy.
Yeah.
This was, first of all, it was definitely a very bloody issue, but this was crazy, Brent. Do you want to expand? I don't want to go too far into it because I know you've been reading Invincible longer than me. You have the first 3 volumes in your background.
Yeah. This series, first of all, I love this series. It's kind of like Superboy meets Spider-Man with a little edge, and they're not afraid to push the envelope and major consequences. But as we talked about on the Comic Frontline live show, they never really killed off main characters before, unless they were like copies from another universe or another dimension or whatever, alternate reality. Right. And but I mean, this book has always had shock value. It's always had those big moments that you're not expecting. Like, I think it was the first 10 issues we learned that Mark, which is Invincible, his dad was a supervillain, and they had this big knockdown, drag out, bloody, gory fight between the two of them. And then later on we learned that his whole people are there to take over the planet, and then there's that whole war. So I mean, there's been big things happen in this book. I mean, over 100 issues, obviously. But they really hyped this particular issue, as setting a new era for the title.
Yeah, and they said it's good for Jump On, but I have to agree with what Kat said on the live show. It's not Jump On friendly, that's for sure.
No. What they said, he kind of marketed it as it's issue 111. It's as good as 3 number 1 issues. That was his little thing. No, it's definitely not a jumping on point issue. I mean, you would be totally lost. I agree with that completely. But the thing is, it does set forth a new era, because it pushes the envelope farther than we've ever seen it pushed with certain characters. You mentioned Cecil. Spoiler alert, we're gonna spoil it a little bit. He gets killed by Robot. He basically slices his throat open and he dies. And Cecil has been a fixture in Invincible since day one. He's been a fixture in other titles that Kirkman has written that have spun off of Invincible or that tie into that same universe.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Invincible Universe. That's one of the tie-ins.
Yeah, and when they did the whole, I can't remember what the name of the Global Guardian, whatever that title was.
Oh yeah, Guardians of the Globe for a time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He was a key part of that.
I'll make you a bet that whatever Robot killed wasn't the real Cecil.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's possible, but anyway, that shock value was still there, though. It's like when it happened, it's like you basically just killed Nick Fury. That's their Nick Fury. That's, not the same kind of character, but it's the same kind of iconic character in that universe. So it was interesting. And then later on, what happens with Adam Eve?
That was like,
Dude.
All right, we saw what happened to Cecil. So it's like, okay, so that's the big shock value. So the rest of the book is basically going to play off of that, and then it's like, nope.
Yeah. And, squeamish people need not read this book, but Adam Eve gets her leg completely ripped off, and they show it all. You know, she pregnant Adam Eve, like about to burst, gets her leg ripped off, and it's just that was a page I was like, oh my god, they did. That's like, I don't know how you compare that. It's like tearing Wonder Woman's leg off, or Mary Jane's.
Yeah, it's like, how is she gonna move forward from this? I mean, are they gonna get her leg back and try to put it back on? Are they gonna give her a cybernetic leg? What's gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, and there's the threat of her dying, her baby dying, and you know, it's all this stuff. And Mark had just gotten back. He had been stuck in other dimensions. He dealt with Robot in another dimension, saw what he was capable of there, all this stuff he was dealing with, and he finally comes home to this, and just it's total chaos and turmoil. Not to mention what happened last issue to him. So. And, you know, I understand some people are complaining that all of this is done for shock value, but like I said, there's always been that shock value in this book. There's shock value in Kirkman books.
To be honest, TV, movies, comic books, regular books, video games, people do shock value because that's what a shock value, every part of media, video games, what have you, there's shock value. Why? Because it gets the reader, the player, the viewer to want more. Exactly. And to wonder when it's going to happen again, if it's going to happen again, why it'll happen again.
And it's just like you mentioned on the live show, Walking Dead, when they killed Glenn in issue 100. That was something because he was one of the main characters. He was a fan favorite character. And yes, it was done for shock, but it was also a good story point to say anything can happen, nobody's safe. It was like turning the corner saying, oh my god, they just flipped the script on this whole thing. We knew everybody could die, but there were certain characters we knew that would never die, and then they just killed one. And I think he does that with all his books, and in Invincible, that's kind of what he did. He's played it safe with all these lead characters, and now he's saying, sorry, they're all, you know, everybody's on the table for for cutting if I decide it serves the story. And I think that's what we saw here. So
it was an excellent issue, though.
Yeah.
Issue 110 and 11 are off shelves. 111 is coming out next month, the week before 112. I actually started my collection, ironically, with issues 110 and 11 physically. I will actually be getting both of those books hopefully sometime this week. I'll be physically reviewing issue 111 on this week's indie review.
Nice.
So, Invincible's really good. I gotta get the compendium. I know there's 2 compendiums that bring us up to issue 96, so I just have to go from 96 up to 110.
Yeah, I honestly prefer reading them in the collections I have are the Ultimate collections, and I think they have. Yeah, the hardcover Ultimate collections, I think they have like maybe 13 issues a piece in them or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, because issue Ultimate Collection 1 is issue 0 through 12.
Yeah. So there you go. I prefer reading them in that kind of format because I started off reading them in the weekly, and then I got really behind, and then I picked up the first 2 Ultimate collections, and I prefer reading in that being able to have that much story right at my fingertips. And
see me, I'm one of 2 ways. I like what Michael's doing, where he's getting the trade paperbacks for Walking Dead, which are the like 7 or 8 issues per floppy trade paperback.
Yeah.
So I would do that with Invincible.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think they're like $10 a book, so you're getting your money's worth. Or I would just take the $50, which would be 5 books worth, and just throw it down and get the compendium, which is issues 1 through 42 or 6, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other compendium is whatever, 47 or 43, all the way through to issue 96. And I remember I started reading in like issue 94, and then everything kind of fell out for me. So I stopped reading for a little bit of a while, and it was I could jump back in single issue wise, no problem, from 96 to 110. It's only about like 8-9 issues, and I have a few physical copies.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those books like Walking Dead where you don't want to wait, but at the same time I love getting that much story because I love the book so much that I want to just keep reading. And when I get one of those Ultimate Collections or a trade or whatever, I can't put it down.
You know, San Diego Comic Con actually has a hardcover of the compendium. They released it years ago.
Nice.
I would love to get it, but to be honest, the first like 5 or 6 issues at the very beginning of the book, could you imagine how hard it'll be to turn those pages like fully?
Yeah,
That's why trade paperbacks are better. The soft spine makes it easier to open a book.
yeah. I think when I read the Walking Dead one, it was soft cover for the first like 48 issues.
Hmm. And that's another thing though, with the Ultimate Collection, like what you have, it's a little bit bigger than a standard comic page.
It is, yeah.
But those books are like $25 each. So 13 times 25, I mean, you get like three and it's already $75.
True, yeah. I got a good deal on the first two. I bought them at C2E2, and it was like Sunday at the end of the day, so they were trying to get rid of. They were doing all these sales, so
I
I
will
got.
see. Maybe New York Comic Con, the special New York Comic Con is coming up in June. Maybe I'll get lucky and find it.
Yeah, possible.
So,
So
all in all, though, Invincible has been amazing.
yes,
Also, I would recommend from issue 100 through. I still have to get issue 100, the chromium cover. I would definitely recommend you guys check Invincible out. It's a really, really, really good series.
totally agree. One of my favorites.
There's definitely lots of twists and turns, and even more uh, deeper twists have been going on lately. So,
Yep.
crazy stuff. So anyway, I'm going to now turn the show over to Brant. Hi, Brant.
Hey, Chris.
Well, Brant recorded this earlier today. Brant's doing the Zone 4 segment on his own today, for this week at least. And I'm not going to say what he's talking about. You guys will be surprised when we get there, but he is covering a couple of bits of news. So enjoy that, and then myself and Brant, hi Brant,
Hey, Chris.
will be coming back and rounding out this week with the weekly comic book rundown. So I'm now going to turn the show over to the Zone. I can't say to Brant because Brant's here, so I'm going to turn it over to the Zone 4 segment that Brant recorded earlier today, and we will see you guys in a little bit. So this is going to be so weird because you're sitting right here, Brant. But take it away, Brant, with the Zone 4 segment.
Thank you,
Or
Chris.
I should say, actually, take it away past Brant
Yes.
with the Zone 4 segment.
Thanks, Chris, and welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Zone 4 right here on It's a Podcast. I am Brant Fowler, one of the founders and co-host of the show, and I'm all by my lonesome this week. So, I think what I'm going to do, I'm not going to rant, but what I am going to do is discuss a few things that caught my attention in the world of comic news this week, and stuff that we're not talking about on the main Zone 4 podcast that I don't recall talking about anywhere else yet. So these are just my opinions on things that I've taken notice of. So today, an article was posted on CBR, which is Comic Book Resources, about the death of Wolverine. There is a mini-series coming in September, which we'll learn about in next month's solicitations for September. But as comic fans, and especially those that read Marvel books and follow the X titles at all, know that this has been in the works for a while. Now, this article, it addresses two things. One, it addresses why spoiling deaths or big events like that, far prior to release, is done. Which, they make a lot of valid points in this article. The writer is Blake Northcott, a guest contributor, by the way. But he titles the article, "Go Ahead Marvel, Kill Wolverine, but Did You Have to Spoil It?" And he looks at this miniseries as them spoiling the death. And what I say to that is, Blake, you must not have been paying attention for the past several months, because if I recall correctly, the ongoing story arc, or the one that's been solicited for a while in the main Wolverine title, has been like 1 month to die or 3 months to die, or whatever it's been. But it's because I haven't been reading it. I've only read the first couple issues, but it's been that. We know he lost his healing factor. We know that it's been leading up to his death all this time. So this mini series isn't spoiling the death of Wolverine. It's just a culmination of spoilers that took place months ago. So I don't understand your beef with this particular mini series spoiling it. I think you needed to do a little bit more research before writing this article. My opinion. But I do get your point. His point was that there's a habit of spoiling these big, massive happenings in the pages of comics months before they happen. And why do we do this? And it goes back to sales and everything. It boosts sales. It gets people talking. About in this particular case, the death of an iconic character, one of the definitely not the flagship character of Marvel, but one of the most well-known, most well-loved characters, most overused characters in the entire company, as evidenced through other media, cartoons, movies, and everything, where Wolverine is just everywhere. And not to mention how many comics he's actually in, and how many teams he's part of. But so I mean, it's that kind of significance, but at the same time, well, I mean, comic deaths are nothing major anymore. Anyway, we all know they're going to be undone, especially with popular characters like that. So I mean, I get his point that it's you're kind of ruining the shock and awe. But if you've been reading comics for any amount of time, you can kind of pick up where things like that are headed anyway. Certain deaths, like in the recent issue of Invincible, which we talked about on Comic Frontlines live show this week, there was an unexpected death in that issue, and there was unexpected torture to a character, and it became controversial, and everybody was up in arms about it because it was a shock factor. So I mean, you have to look at it on both sides of it. If you don't tell people and it just comes out of the blue, then they're screaming, oh, it's just written for shock factor, and that's that, and it's pointless or whatever. It's just to get people talking or whatever. Or if you spoil it ahead of time, like Marvel did with Wolverine here, it's like, oh well, they're just trying to ramp up sales or whatever, which is true in both cases. Both of them are to engage readers, to get them to buy more books, to get them to buy the next issue, to get them to follow what's going on. But it's not just about the dollars. That's what you do in a story too. You build a story as a writer to hit these highs and lows, to hit these major points within the story, to engage readers, to get them to come back and continue reading and continue following that property, that character, whatever. So if you look at it that way, it's not really that surprising, and I don't see what the what the big deal is with Wolverine. It's like he's going to come back. That's the point. That's my problem with it. It has nothing to do with they spoiled. It's going to be the death of Wolverine. Yeah, that's the way they chose to tell this particular story. Fine, whatever. With him though, like I said, we know he'll come back. It's Wolverine. That's like killing off Spider-Man, Superman, Batman. He's not going to stay dead. Whatever way, if it's an alternate version of him, whatever. People were up in arms. Oh, they killed Peter Parker. He came back. We all knew he was going to come back. Johnny Storm of the Fantastic Four. We knew he was going to come back. So that's not the major deal here. So yeah, I was kind of questioning this particular article because of that, because he was like, oh, it spoiled it. But it's been spoiled for months, so this is nothing new. We know from August solicitations the Wolverine series is ending. So I mean, it's just you saw it coming. I don't get the gripe there. But he does make some good points about the dollar sales and all that stuff. It kind of ramps up. This is going to lead into a new #1 at some point, which again is going to increase sales. It's a business thing, but it's also a story thing to keep people interested and keep people coming back. Sometimes that has an adverse effect. I'm sure people get tired of the relaunches over and over again. I know I do, unless they make sense. In this particular case, him coming back, him going through this death and coming back, I'm assuming is going to somehow restore his healing factor, which is good. Or maybe it'll even restore Wolverine back to a feral state. We don't know. I think they need to do something. It's necessary. All the stories with Wolverine have been leading to a point where, he's tired, he's done, he's frustrated, and he's at the end. So I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, if you've been following them, you kind of saw this coming anyway, even if they didn't spoil it. So that's all there is to say about that. That's all. So Mark Waid is leaving Hulk, and it's funny, he tweeted about this, and he was like, so many people are so happy I'm leaving Hulk. Thanks. And it's kind of funny because some of my fellow reviewers and stuff on Comic Frontline were not fans of his run on Incredible Hulk or Hulk, and it had its ups and downs, but overall I kind of liked it. I like Mark Waid's writing, but he's not perfect. He does have down points in his stories. As evidenced, if you've been listening to Zone 4, at one point we completely fell off of Green Hornet because it just kind of went off the rails. But the reason he's leaving is because he wants to focus more time on Daredevil and on his Thrillbent site that, it's digital comics and everything. And that's admirable. Daredevil is, he's done wonders with that book. He has made me a Daredevil fan with that book, and he tells tremendous stories in that book. And Thrillbent is a really great initiative that he started, with partners or whatever, and he's taken it to heights, and he plans on taking it to new heights, which I think is really cool. But I still kind of think there's more to it, because just this week a new book written by Mark Waid comes out, Dr. Spectre, Master of the Occult, which we actually will be talking about on this week's Zone 4. We'll be reviewing that first issue from Dynamite Entertainment. But it's like, okay, you're stepping away from Hulk to focus on Daredevil and Thrillbent, but you're just debuting this new series, and you're still writing Green Hornet, and you're still writing this or that. Okay, whatever. Maybe Hulk wasn't selling well. Maybe he was trying to make a gracious exit. I don't care. I'm a big Mark Waid fan. He's a great guy. I personally have only met him once briefly, but my friends at Comic Related have hung out with him and all that stuff. They did that roast on Mark Waid on comicrelated.com. Look it up. And so he's a good guy, and I have faith in his writing and everything. And I hope this is the right move for him. We'll see where Hulk goes from here. But that's that. So I just thought it was kind of funny that he made that tweet, and for his reasons of stepping away. And really, that's aside from this Helena Bertinelli thing, which we will be talking about on Zone 4, which is why I'm not bringing it up here. Nothing else really caught my attention that I haven't talked about elsewhere, or that I'm not talking about elsewhere coming up. So, it was mainly the death of the Wolverine thing and Mark Waid on Hulk. So, I guess this is kind of a shorter segment, kind of a more focused segment of Zone 4 this week. Next week we'll see what we can do. Maybe I'll bring in somebody that hasn't been on It's a Podcast yet to join me on the Zone 4 segment. Until then, let's get back to the rest of the show.
'Cause here he comes, the amazing Spider-Man. More coloration, proof, giant threats with Spider-Man.
All right, guys, and welcome back. And hi, Brant.
Hey, Chris.
For the 5th time tonight. And we're at that point of the show where we discuss the books that are going to be coming out next Wednesday, which is the first week of June 4th, 2014. and we discuss the books that we are looking forward to most that are coming out from each and every company. So I'm going to kick us off this week with Dark Horse, and off the bat, I'm looking forward to Angel and Faith, Season 10, Issue number 3. It's been going very strong lately, and I'm really enjoying Season 10. Also, I'm looking forward to Ghost issue number 4. It's volume 4, issue number 4. Ghost has been a really... I jumped in with the issue 1, and I haven't regretted it since, because the series is really, really good. How about you, Brant?
Since I haven't started either of those series, those would be the two that I would gravitate towards. There's nothing really there for me. But if you don't mind, I would like to mention a couple of trades, or actually a trade and a hardcover.
Absolutely.
All right. Dragon Age Library Edition Volume 1 hardcover is out next week. So Dragon Age fans, check it out. I've read some of the comic stuff, and it's pretty good. So, and I'm a big fan of the game. And Nexus Omnibus Volume 5 for all those Mike Baron, Steve Rude fans. Nexus is actually a really good series. So, there you go.
Okay. And other books that are going to be coming out, single issues that are coming out this week from Dark Horse are Lobster Johnson, Get the Lobster, issue number 4. I know Mike's going to be looking forward to that. Michael Avon Oming's The Victories, Volume 2, issue number 12.
That's a long title.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot to swallow. Robert E. Howard's Savage Sword, issue number 8. And that's it.
All
so,
right.
Grant, take it away with DC.
Into DC. First off, I am looking forward to Batman Eternal number 9, sort of. After we talked about that earlier, it's kind of like, I don't know.
I'm almost maybe looking forward to it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, what else am I really...
You're not looking forward to Batman 66 meets the Green Hornet?
Oh, I totally missed that. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. That's the TV shows crossing over in comic form. That should be fun. Future's in, of course, as we talked about earlier. Hopefully it doesn't go on that decline like we think it will. And The Wake number 9, which is the next to last issue of the series. So I'm really looking forward to that. Those are the main things for me. What about you?
Let's see. One thing I do want to mention is I do like the Bombshell covers that we're getting for almost every big book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to say that they're the regular comic price. They're not charging extra.
Right.
The books I'm looking forward to, I didn't get any of the Bombshell covers, though, because I'm just not interested. But Action Comics 32, continuing the whole Doom story arc, because it's interesting. Earth 2, definitely. Let's see. I know Cindy's looking forward to Looney Tunes, issue number 219.
Mm-hmm.
What about Tiny Titans? The Return
No,
of the
she's not
Treehouse?
reading
No?
that.
Okay.
And from Vertigo, I'm looking forward to Wake. Hopefully that picks up. And that's really about it for me, at least with DC this week.
All right. So also coming out, Aquaman. Yeah, that's sounded right. Aquaman and the Others, number 3. Batwing 32, which I think we both dropped at this point.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. It's getting canceled anyway, so it doesn't matter. Green Arrow, number 32. Justice League 3000, number 7 is coming out. Swamp Thing, number 32. Tiny Titans Return to the Treehouse, number 1. Trinity of Sin, Phantom Stranger, number 20, another book that is canceled in August. Vampire Diaries, number 6. And from Vertigo, Hinterkind, however you pronounce it, number 8. So there you go.
Fun stuff. Alright, we're going into Dynamite now, and I really don't read too much Dynamite. Let's see. Well, Vampirella is coming in with a number 1, so that's something to talk about. And, of course, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if you count the Midtown exclusive, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm not joking here. 15.
I know.
Basically, from Vampirella number 1, cover A, it goes all the way down to cover O.
Yeah. So that's like 15 covers, yeah. I was
And some of them are priced at 25. This one's 51, 8, 50, 20, 10. Basically from H up, they're all the same price, $3.39.
yeah.
Now the question is the book good?
I don't know. I don't read Vampirella, so.
I remember a person that reviewed Vampirella, so I'll look into it for the indie review when we get to it.
Fair enough. I forget what book it was, but I saw on Bleeding Cool another book had like 14 variant covers as well, so it might have also been from Dynamite. Who knows?
So how about you, Brant?
Really, the only thing maybe for me, and I haven't read the first issue yet, so I don't know. Chaos #2, which is kind of it's kind of.
I'm not gonna say too much, but
Okay. I was just curious about it because it's reviving Chaos Comics, which was a 1990s company, and they kind of got the rights to the property, so they were bringing it back as a series instead of a company, obviously. So,
Gotcha.
but if it's no good, then yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
All right, other books that are coming out with multiple covers, of course, as always. Battlestar Galactica #12, Black Bat #11, Captain Action Cat Time Stream Catastrophe #2. That's a mouthful. Doc Savage issue #6. Jim Butcher's Dresden Files Warcry #1.
Ooh. Cool. I missed that one.
And like I said, Vampirella has like a million covers.
Yeah.
And that's it. So Brent, you want to take us into IDW?
I sure do. First thing, of course, that I'm interested in, very first item on the list, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero #203.
Mm.
Really looking forward to that. Love Larry Hama, G.I. Joe. So beyond that, looking, I think that's really it for me.
And for me, I only have one thing too, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #34. They didn't actually release issue 34 in May, so there was the only thing that we got in May was the 30th anniversary book and the Color Classic, so it's nice to see that the Turtles ongoing series is continuing now again.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so other titles coming out, Judge Dredd Mega City 2 #5, The Maximize #8, X-Files Art Gallery #1, and I think that's it.
Two things to make note of are the G.I. Joe Origins Omnibus Volume 1 and the Lock and Key Head Games Deluxe Hardcover Red Label Edition for $182.74 on Midtown. The asking price, or the main price, is $214.99.
Okay.
So, it's a lot of money.
So, over to you with Image, good sir.
Absolutely nothing this week, at least.
Wow, okay. Rise of the Magi #1, I'm curious about. I want to try that out.
I might try it because it's a #1 also, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And, yeah, I think that's it for me, too.
So, from Image, we have 68 Rule of War #3, Burn the Orphanage Reign of Terror #2, Clone 17, Dream Police #2, 5 Ghosts #12, 5 Weapons #9, Great Pacific #15, Madam Frankenstein issue 2, please end. Nailbiter #2, One Hit Wonder #3, skipping over that.
Superannuated Man.
There you go. Superannuated Man #1. Spawn 244 is, what's his name, still Spawn?
I have no idea.
Jim, yep. Jim Downing is still Spawn, so not interested. Who's the artist on the book, by the way? That I actually am interested in.
Simone Kudransky.
Yep, nope. Book still is meh. Darkness, Close Your Eyes, One Shot, and Witchblade 175.
I have to say, I actually like Kudransky's art.
Well, I don't have a problem with his art as much as I have a problem with Jim Downing's as Spawn. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Little-
so
little fact real quick. Kudransky illustrated Zombie Cop, published by Image Comics, lettered by yours truly.
oh sweet.
So
So Brent, you want to take us into Marvel?
into Marvel. Let's see. I know you're not interested in this, but so far I still am. Amazing X-Men number 8. Avengers World number 7. Which is, I love the series. Can't recommend it enough. It's the best Avengers title out there. I'm looking. Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man number 2.
Me too.
Yeah. New Warriors number 5. Original Sin number 3.
Yep.
That goes without saying. Those are the main ones I'm looking forward to.
Basically the same. You basically gave my list a You said New Warriors number 5?
I did.
Okay, so yeah, you took my entire list. So you want to just run down the rest?
Yeah. All right. All New X Factor number 9, which
Mike is.
Yep. And I do like it. It's just not. It's like middle of the pile for me. Black Widow number 7, which I'm still.
You missed the Amazing X-Men annual number
Oh,
1.
you're right. Amazing X-Men annual number 1. You're correct, sir. Captain America number 21. Cyclops number 2. I have not. Did you read the first issue? I did.
Michael did. He liked it.
Okay. Iron Fist Living Weapon number 3. No comment. Iron Man number 27.
No comment.
Yeah, exactly. Loki, Agent of Asgard number 5. Magneto number 5, which is still good as well. Miracle Man number 7. Moon Knight number 4, which I dropped after issue 1. Punisher number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's a lot of books coming out. Superior Foes of Spider-Man number 12, which I have not enjoyed the past 3 issues, I'm sorry to say.
Oh, wow. Mike's still liking it.
Painkiller Jane, 22 Brides number 1.
That's from Marvel Icon.
Exactly. And that's all for the single issues.
All right, so I'll, I guess, lead us in the indie books. And that's where we'll touch any indie company. I'm looking forward to Sonic Universe 64, issue number 64 from Archie Comics. Also looking forward to, going down the list, Garfield 26, but that's my guilty pleasure, of course. I know Cindy's looking forward to Scratch 9, Cat of 9 Worlds, number 1. Let's see. If I could get through Rye number 1, I think Rye number 2, for all the dialogue. There are 2 freebies from Valiant. There's the pull box preview for Armor Hunters, Bloodshot number 1, and Delinquents number 1. And from Zenoscope, Grim Fairy Tales 98, I am highly looking forward to. And the book of the week from Zenoscope is going to be Grim Fairy Tales Presents Godstorm, Age of Darkness, one-shot with amazing covers. So, that's all I got. Brant?
I would agree with your entire list. That's it for me.
And we are definitely not running through all the books here. So, that's it. I am upset, though, that the Discovery Channel's Great White Shark graphic novel was sold out. I didn't get a chance to buy it, so.
All right, I will mention real quick that Journey Volume 2, number 1 comes out from Aspen. So.
Oh, sweet. But really quickly, before we sign out, we would like to thank our sponsor, Audible.com. If you type in audibletrial.com/Zone4Podcast, you can get an entire month of Audible books for free. And you help out not only It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's a Podcast, but you help out all the podcasts on Zone4Podcast.com. And you get to listen to some really awesome books. There's some awesome Spider-Man books. And there are newer books added each and every day, read by people from all over the spectrum. So, with that, everybody, that is the podcast, and I guess that is a wrap. So, I guess there's nothing left to do now. By the way, keep reading, keep collecting. And there's nothing to do now except to cue the outro.
Join us next time for another episode of
It's a bird! It's a plane!
It's a Podcast.
Up in the sky, look! Up in the sky, look!
This has been a Ventura production.